For a minute, it honestly looked like Stefon Diggs was watching his entire life spiral out of control in real time. Not just football. Not just his image. People online were saying this situation could have damaged everything attached to his name permanently. Suddenly there were accusations, courtroom drama, emotional testimony, police involvement, and non-stop social media pressure all crashing down around him at once. And the craziest part? A lot of people think Stefon realized way too late just how serious things had become. Because during the legal proceedings, observers started pointing out how different he looked publicly. Instead of the confident NFL superstar people were used to seeing, many said he looked tense, frustrated, emotional, even scared at certain moments. Social media especially focused on the moments where Stefon allegedly appeared overwhelmed after key developments inside the courtroom. That is when people started saying this may have been the first real wake-up call of his life. But then everything suddenly changed. At the very last minute, videos reportedly surfaced that completely shifted the energy around the case. Videos that people now believe may have saved Stefon from one of the biggest public humiliations, and potentially the biggest mistake of his entire career. According to discussions online, the footage allegedly raised major questions about earlier claims and immediately changed how people started viewing the accusations publicly. Suddenly the narrative was no longer simple anymore. Critics who were fully convinced Stefon was finished started backing up fast once those clips began circulating. And somehow, the internet instantly connected all of this back to Cardi B. Because people noticed that right before things started turning around publicly, Stefon suddenly seemed to reconnect with Cardi again. That timing immediately triggered speculation online that he may have leaned on Cardi's powerful connections, legal resources, and support system behind the scenes once he realized the seriousness of the situation he was facing. Now people are saying the same man, who once looked arrogant and reckless publicly ended up completely humbled behind closed doors. And that this entire ordeal may have forced him to finally confront the consequences of how he was moving in his personal life. One thing almost everybody keeps repeating about Stefon Diggs during this situation is that he did not look like the same person people were used to seeing publicly. Usually, Stefon carries himself with confidence. NFL superstar energy. Calm under pressure. The type of athlete who always looks emotionally in control no matter what is happening around him. But according to people following the case closely online, that image started cracking once he actually had to sit inside that courtroom and face the reality of what could happen if things went badly. And honestly, people think that fear humbled him fast. Because social media users kept pointing out moments where Stefon allegedly looked visibly shaken during parts of the proceedings. Some said you could see frustration on his face. Others noticed him looking emotionally drained, tense, even exhausted mentally by the entire situation. That reaction became a huge topic online because many fans believe this was the first time Stefon truly realized that fame, money, and celebrity status cannot automatically protect someone from consequences once legal issues become serious publicly. Especially because this was no longer just internet gossip anymore. This situation had moved into real-world territory involving accusations, court appearances, lawyers, testimony, and public scrutiny at a level that could seriously damage someone's career and reputation if handled badly. And for someone constantly viewed as successful, confident, and untouchable publicly, sitting through that kind of pressure likely felt completely different emotionally. Then came the biggest turning point. The videos. Once reports started circulating that footage had surfaced contradicting parts of the accusations publicly, everything changed almost overnight online. Suddenly people who were fully against Stefon started hesitating. Others immediately accused the case of being exaggerated from the beginning. And social media instantly shifted from Stefon is finished to wait, something feels off here. That emotional reversal was huge. Because public opinion moves incredibly fast once visual evidence enters the conversation. People trust videos emotionally more than statements, reports, or online arguments. So once footage allegedly surfaced showing behavior that did not fully match earlier claims publicly, the internet started rethinking the entire situation aggressively. And that is where Cardi B entered the discussion again. Many people online started speculating that reconnecting publicly with Cardi B may not have been random timing at all. Some believe Stefon understood he needed stability, experienced legal guidance around public controversy, and stronger people around him once the situation started becoming overwhelming emotionally and professionally. Whether true or not, the internet now sees this entire situation as a major turning point in Stefon's life publicly, the moment people believe the carefree superstar image finally collided with real consequences. Before those videos surfaced, a huge portion of the internet had already emotionally decided Stefon Diggs was guilty. That is the reality. Social media had already picked sides. People were reposting accusations everywhere, dragging Stefon publicly, questioning his character, and connecting the situation to rumors about his personal life long before all the evidence fully entered public discussion. Once the internet emotionally locks into a narrative, it usually takes something major to shift people away from it. And apparently, those videos became that major turning point. According to online discussions surrounding the case, the footage reportedly showed behavior and physical appearance that many people felt did not fully match earlier descriptions of what allegedly happened. That immediately created doubt publicly because once visual evidence enters a case, audiences start reassessing everything emotionally. Suddenly the conversation online changed from "Stefon is done" to "Wait, why doesn't this add up?" And honestly, that shift happened fast. Because social media users started focusing heavily on details inside the footage, body language, appearance, movement, emotional energy, physical condition, all trying to compare what they saw visually against the earlier claims being discussed publicly. Once people noticed inconsistencies, the internet started turning against the accusations almost as aggressively as they originally turned against Stefon. That is how quickly online narratives flip now. One day someone is treated like a villain. The next day people act like they were falsely targeted all along. Social media rarely stays balanced emotionally once visual proof enters the conversation. But another part of the situation also started making people uncomfortable. A lot of observers began saying this entire ordeal may have happened because of Stefon's own reckless lifestyle choices in the first place. Even people defending him publicly still criticized how he allegedly moved privately, dealing with multiple women, blurred relationship boundaries, emotional confusion, and letting too many people gain personal access to his life at once. That criticism became even louder once people started bringing up Cardi B again. Because many fans felt embarrassed for Cardi publicly. People started saying Stefon allegedly allowed messy situations to develop around women while Cardi was still publicly connected to him emotionally. Critics accused him of moving carelessly and disrespectfully behind the scenes while maintaining a completely different image publicly. So even though the videos may have shifted legal perception, they did not completely erase public criticism about his personal behavior. And honestly, many people think that is the part that humbled him the most. One thing that keeps coming up repeatedly online is how emotional Stefon Diggs allegedly looked once the situation finally started turning in his favor publicly. Because according to people following the case closely, Stefon did not react like someone who simply won another celebrity controversy. Many observers said he looked relieved in a deeper way, almost like somebody who realized at the last second how badly things could have gone if those videos never surfaced publicly. And honestly, that reaction changed how some people started viewing him. Instead of looking arrogant or untouchable, people suddenly saw somebody who may have genuinely been terrified behind closed doors. Social media users kept pointing out moments where Stefon allegedly looked emotional, drained, and visibly overwhelmed after major developments inside the courtroom. That emotional energy made many fans believe this entire ordeal genuinely shook him mentally. Because the reality is simple. NFL careers move fast. Public reputations move even faster. One serious legal situation, one damaging headline cycle, one major controversy attached to violence or misconduct accusations can permanently affect endorsements, contracts, media reputation, public support, and long-term legacy. Athletes at Stefon's level know that better than anybody. That is why people think this situation became a major reality check for him personally. And interestingly, many fans started noticing another shift immediately afterward. Instead of celebrating wildly once things turned around publicly, Stefon reportedly kept a much lower profile than people expected. Social media users pointed out that instead of club appearances, flashy celebrations, or public partying, he seemed far more focused on training, the gym, and staying disciplined afterward. That detail became symbolic online. Because people started framing it like the moment Stefon realized the lifestyle he was living may have nearly destroyed everything he spent years building professionally. Critics argued he placed himself in dangerous situations emotionally by moving recklessly with women, blurred boundaries, and relationship drama publicly. And once again, Cardi B became part of the conversation. Some fans believe reconnecting publicly with Cardi after all this may have represented more than romance. They think Stefon may have been searching for stability, maturity, stronger support systems, and people experienced with surviving intense public controversy once he realized how vulnerable he actually was. Whether true or not, the internet now views this situation as more than just a legal scare. People think it may have been the moment Stefon Diggs finally understood that talent and fame alone are not enough to protect someone from the consequences of chaotic personal decisions publicly. Now that the situation surrounding Stefon Diggs has calmed down slightly publicly, social media has divided into two completely different camps emotionally. One side believes this entire ordeal genuinely changed him. These people think Stefon finally got the wake-up call he needed after realizing how quickly his lifestyle choices could have destroyed his career, reputation, and future publicly. They point to how emotional he allegedly looked during the proceedings, how relieved he seemed afterward, and how quickly his energy shifted away from partying and public chaos once the pressure became real. To them, this looked like somebody who finally understood consequences. But the other side sees things very differently. Critics argue Stefon did not grow, they think he simply got lucky. According to that perspective, the videos may have helped him legally and publicly, but they do not erase the larger criticism surrounding how he allegedly moved privately with multiple women, emotional manipulation, blurred relationship boundaries, and reckless personal decisions. Some users online even argued that the situation only became dangerous because Stefon allegedly allowed too many unstable dynamics into his life in the first place. That debate keeps getting louder online. Because many people think athletes and celebrities often confuse escaping consequences with actual personal growth. Social media users are now watching closely to see whether Stefon truly changes how he moves publicly after this, or whether he eventually slips back into the same patterns once the controversy fades emotionally. And honestly, a lot of this conversation keeps circling back to Cardi B again. Because some observers believe Cardi's public presence around Stefon after everything happened may have helped stabilize his image emotionally. Cardi already understands internet chaos, public backlash, legal drama narratives, and celebrity controversy culture better than most people. She has survived years of intense public scrutiny herself. That is why some fans believe Stefon leaned towards someone experienced with surviving media storms once he realized how out of control things had become around him publicly. At the same time, others think Cardi herself may eventually become tired of the chaos too. Because critics online continue saying Stefon allegedly embarrassed multiple women publicly by allowing blurred situations, unclear relationship dynamics, and emotional confusion to exist all at once. Even people defending him legally still question whether he handled his personal life responsibly behind the scenes. So while the videos may have shifted public perception dramatically, they did not completely erase the larger conversation about discipline, maturity, and accountability. And that is why people keep calling this situation humbling for Stefon specifically. Because for the first time in a long time, many fans think he finally saw how quickly fame can collapse once real-world consequences enter the picture. One reason this story hit people so hard emotionally is because Stefon Diggs usually carries the image of somebody completely in control. Control on the field. Control in interviews. Control financially. Control socially. The type of athlete who always seems confident no matter how much pressure exists publicly around him. But during this situation, many people think that image finally cracked in a way fans had never really seen before. Because for once, Stefon could not simply out-athlete the problem. Money could not instantly erase the pressure. Fame could not stop public opinion from forming. Social media could not be controlled once the accusations started spreading everywhere. And inside that courtroom, Stefon looked like somebody who understood that one wrong outcome could permanently change his entire life publicly. That vulnerability shocked people online. Especially because celebrity culture usually trains audiences to see athletes as almost untouchable emotionally. Fans forget that underneath the contracts, jewelry, highlights, and fame are still real people capable of panic, fear, regret, and emotional breakdown once serious situations become real enough. Many people think Stefon reached that point during this ordeal. That is why observers kept focusing on the emotional moments instead of only the legal outcome itself. People said the fear on his face looked genuine. The stress looked genuine. The relief afterward looked genuine too. And once audiences emotionally saw that vulnerability publicly, the entire energy around Stefon shifted. Suddenly he no longer looked like the reckless superstar casually moving through drama untouched. He looked human. And honestly, that may be why some fans started rooting for him again once the videos surfaced. Because the footage reportedly changed more than just legal perception, it changed emotional perception too. People began viewing Stefon less like a villain, and more like somebody who may have gotten trapped inside a dangerous situation created partly by his own poor choices, and partly by the chaos surrounding celebrity lifestyles generally. Meanwhile, discussions around Cardi B continued growing alongside the story. Some people now think Cardi saw a completely different version of Stefon privately during all this, not the confident athlete social media usually sees, but somebody scared, emotionally exhausted, and forced to confront his own mistakes directly for the first time in years. And if that is true, many fans believe it explains why the reunion between them suddenly started making more emotional sense publicly afterward. At this point, the legal situation may have shifted publicly, but the biggest question surrounding Stefon Diggs now is much simpler. Did this actually change him, or did it only scare him temporarily? Because social media has seen this pattern before with celebrities and athletes countless times. A major controversy happens. Someone looks emotional publicly. They talk about growth, discipline, maturity, and learning lessons. Then 6 months later, they fall right back into the same reckless lifestyle patterns once the pressure disappears again. That is why many people are watching Stefon so closely now. The internet believes this situation exposed something much bigger than just one legal scare. People think it revealed how dangerous celebrity lifestyles can become when discipline disappears privately. Fame creates access. Access creates temptation. And once somebody starts believing they can move however they want without consequences, eventually reality catches up publicly. A lot of fans think reality finally caught up to Stefon here. Especially because critics online keep repeating the same point. None of this would have escalated if he had maintained clearer boundaries, cleaner personal decisions, and more discipline around the women entering his life privately. Even people defending him publicly still say he placed himself inside unnecessary chaos emotionally. That criticism became even stronger after the reported videos changed public opinion. Because once the footage allegedly weakened parts of the accusations, many people shifted from discussing whether Stefon was legally guilty to discussing whether his overall lifestyle choices were still irresponsible regardless. And honestly, that distinction matters. Social media now seems less interested in debating the courtroom outcome itself and more interested in whether Stefon finally understands the bigger lesson underneath all of this. That fame does not protect people from consequences forever. Meanwhile, the reunion discussions involving Cardi B continue fueling speculation too. Some fans think Cardi may genuinely be helping Stefon stabilize emotionally after everything that happened. Others believe the relationship itself still carries too much chaos publicly to last long term. But either way, many observers think this entire ordeal forced Stefon into a level of emotional humility people had never really seen from him before. And honestly, that may end up becoming the most important part of this entire story. Not the courtroom. Not the accusations. Not even the videos. But whether this experience permanently changes how Stefon Diggs moves through life once the spotlight finally calms down again. In the end, the situation surrounding Stefon Diggs became about much more than just courtroom drama or viral headlines publicly. Because yes, the last-minute videos reportedly changed everything emotionally online. They shifted public opinion fast, created doubt around earlier claims, and may have completely altered how people viewed the case itself. Without that footage surfacing when it did, many fans believe the outcome, legally and publicly, could have looked very different for Stefon. But honestly, the deeper story seems to be the effect this entire ordeal had on him personally. For the first time in a long time, people think Stefon looked genuinely scared publicly. Not nervous about criticism. Not annoyed by gossip. Actually scared about losing everything he spent years building. His reputation. His career. His future. His freedom. All because of decisions, relationships, and situations that many fans believe spiraled far beyond his control emotionally. That is why people keep calling this a humbling moment specifically. Because athletes at Stefon's level often move through life feeling untouchable publicly. Fame creates confidence. Money creates insulation. Celebrity status creates access. But situations like this remind people very quickly that consequences still exist no matter how successful someone becomes. And many fans now believe Stefon finally understands that. Meanwhile, Cardi B unexpectedly became part of the larger conversation too. Some people think reconnecting publicly with Cardi represented stability, support, and emotional grounding during one of the most stressful periods of Stefon's life. Others believe the relationship still carries too much public chaos to survive long-term peacefully. But one thing almost everybody agrees on now is this. The confident superstar image around Stefon Diggs changed after this situation. People no longer see him as completely untouchable emotionally anymore. They saw fear, pressure, vulnerability, relief. And for many fans, that made him look more human than ever before. Now the real question becomes what happens next. Does Stefon truly become more disciplined after this wake-up call? Or does the lesson disappear once the headlines fade and normal celebrity life starts feeling comfortable again? So what do you think? Did this entire situation genuinely humble Stefon Diggs and push him toward a different path? Or do you think he simply escaped disaster at the last second because those videos surfaced in time? Drop your thoughts below, like, subscribe, and stay tuned, because people think this story changed Stefon way more than the public even realizes right now.